in this masterclass named Learning for Life. It's been quite a journey to be connecting to these master classes. This is our fourth session, and it's been very nourishing for teachers, for educators, for all the community that has been joining, sharing, and I hope you keep sharing these invitations. And we've been growing. We've been growing to a wider and bigger network now. The alumni for education from Harvard, it's allowing us to share these invitations through their network, so more people will be joining from this network to this series. So I hope everyone keeps joining, keeps sharing this invitation. And well, let's start with the topic today. As you know, Kinich High School is an online high school, and what we are aiming is to bring quality education and a different experience to all the teens that want to do their high school on an online basis. People that move around a lot, people that maybe want to study from their houses because they have other interests, like maybe athletes, maybe musicians, maybe just any person who wants to study from home. It's a candidate to study at Kinich High School. And you will find in our website, in our social media as well, a quiz. If you want to know if you are a candidate to study online, or if you have someone who's a teen about to start high school and want to know if they are candidates to succeed studying in an online basis, in an online learning platform, well, this is the opportunity for you to share with them this information and help them know if they are good candidates to study online. So this quiz is available in our website, in our social media, and basically you can just click on it and you will receive it on your email. And I hope you find it useful for the people you know in high school. As you might know, if you have been in other master classes, we will ask you to turn on your cameras if this is possible. If not, you can just leave it off if it's better for your connection. But if you can, please join us on your camera with your camera turned on. Please raise your hand towards the camera if you want to participate, or you can also use the little click of raise hand that Zoom offered for us. Please use the chat to express any question, reflection, or maybe comments you want to add while our guest is speaking. And please mute your microphone while the speaker is doing her presentation so that we can all pay attention to her. As you have participated in other sessions from these master classes, this is a shared, you already know that this is a shared responsibility, and what we want is to open a dialogue. This is why we ask you to keep an open mind, ask you to be fully present in this activity, and that we exercise our active listening for this session. Of course, everything with an open heart, because we like to be loving at Kinich High School. And as you already know, we are having this presentation of who is joining us today. Then she presents, and afterwards we have a question and answer session where we start the dialogue with you, with your experiences, all the things you have shared about your students, your experience, your professional background. So Learning for Life, I'm going to now pass the microphone to Eric, who is going to introduce Noemí Valencia to us. So welcome, Eric. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Ale. Thank you for the introduction. And I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to present Noemí Valencia. I met her a long time ago when I was thinking about launching Kinich School. And immediately we click in all the different ideas, the vision, and also her experience. She became a mentor to me. You might know or you might not know, but she's an advisor for the 2030 Education Framework. She also has been recognized as one of the 200 top founders and leading in education technology. She also in 2019, she was recognized as high impact entrepreneur. In 2012, also as a distinguished educator. Something, and it's very difficult in 2 minutes just to present Noemí, but I'm going to highlight certain things. Like, for example, when she launched Vermont School, it was one of the first schools to be recognized by Apple as an Apple Distinguished School. That was one of the first schools here. But also something important in launching this system of Notion that most of you might not or not. We have used it a lot inside KNOTION School. It has right now more than 250 schools aligned or collaborating with Notion, which is fantastic. And it's not just in Mexico or in Latin America, it's also it has presence in almost 4 different continents, which is amazing. In other way, I don't want to extend more information about Noemí because you're going to be very impressed with her presentation, but welcome Noemí to this session.
Hi, Eric. Thank you very much. Thank you for this warm presentation, and thank you all of you for being here and taking the time to be here with us. As you know, and as Eric mentioned, I've devoted my whole life, and everything that we do at Notion is focused on shaping a new generation of human beings that are more competent, human beings that are more aware, that are more conscious, and that actually are capable of creating impact in their surroundings with everything they learn and how they can apply that knowledge. Actually, the name of Notion is Knowledge in Action, and we've done that. As he was mentioning, we work very closely with the OECD and Andreas Leher team. So we are also understanding all of the trends and where learning is going. And even though most of the time I focus on younger kids, this time I'm really, really excited to talk on behalf of the high schoolers, because I believe that they are facing a world that is asking for new requirements and new challenges that previously it was a lot easier to predict the outcome. And now there's a lot of uncertainty, but especially a lot of change. So I'm going to focus my presentation today on learning for life with a concept that is lifelong learning. And it's a competency that we've been trying to instill in all of our students. And I want to start with a definition that I tweaked a little bit for myself. And I define lifelong learning with that pursuit that we have, that inner pursuit of finding competence, both for our personal and our professional growth. And why I use the term competence and not knowledge, and this is very important because as we all know, a competency only exists when we are able to combine 3 very important elements. One of them being the knowledge, the understanding of the concepts, the understanding of the theory. The second one being the skills, the talent and the abilities that we acquire, the talent that we have, but also the abilities and the skill sets that we acquire. But the third one, which is extremely important, is our attitudes and the values. And when we are able to intertwine these 3 elements together, that's when we really become competent in something that we are doing. And sometimes it happens to me that I listen to people talking about learning and talking about education, and the terms competency and skills are very easily confused. But it's really, we need to focus on the development of all these competencies. And I just brought up an example. I think we all love soccer here. I do love soccer, and in our family we love soccer. So you're familiar with Leo Messi. And the reason why he's very competent as a football player and he excels from everybody else is because he has that capability of intertwining these 3. He has a perfect knowledge and he knows all the rules of the game and the theory and everything. Of course, he was born with talent, but he has also developed a set of skills, and he has an amazing attitude towards the game, towards his own practice, towards his own growth, and towards all of the values that he truly believes in. So that's what makes him really competent. And the reason why I'm saying this is because in a time set where these are facts and these are actual facts, and they're very, very harsh, I think, from the World Economic Forum, and they're focused on employability. First of all, they're saying that 70% of the people who start a job for the first time, it will have nothing to do with what they studied. So here comes the first big question. How do we prepare our high schoolers or college students in order to face a world where it's very likely that the job they're going to have, they will not have the skill set, or they would not be prepared, or they wouldn't have studied that, because it's going to be probably something different and something else. So this is the first challenge that we face. And then the second one, which is also really, really tough, is to understand that 43% of the college graduates will be considered by their employers as underskilled, or they will be underemployed in that first job because they will not be considered as having all the competencies developed or all the skill sets that they need in order to have to show those competencies during at their job. And the reason why, and this is what's happening in the marketplace, and this is what the companies are saying. This is where the companies that are hiring our students, our graduate students, are saying. But then it's even worse that, and I'm going to show you just some slides that came out with from a study that Coursera, which, you know, provides a lot of content from the main universities in the world, and most of the universities in there, and they have a database of millions and millions of users. They crossed it with the World Economic Forum and their findings, and the insights that that came out were, look, all of the skills and all of the areas in which these students will be lacking, they will not have all of the skill sets, even though they graduate from that area. So look at this. Biological science skills. Look at the gap. All these, the white gaps or the white holes, all those are gaps that they're going to be having in certain areas that they will definitely be needing if they work in what they studied. And I'm going to go really fast because it's the same in every single industry. These are the business gaps, computer science, in education, in engineering, health science, mathematics and statistics, physical sciences, social sciences. And overall, we definitely know that this is the reality of what they're going to be facing. And they did this study with students from all over the world. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to go to Japan. I invite you to travel with me to Japan, to Okinawa, and where there's a group. Actually, it is one of the places on the planet Earth where they have the highest rate of centennials and people who live beyond 100 years old. But what's interesting, it's not only that, is that they found a way of living, and they found a way of making their life purposely. And they developed a model that is called Ikigai. And I want to share a little bit of these because it's very linked to the development of the competencies. It's very linked with what KNOTION School is trying to do or will be doing with the students. And it's very linked to what we're doing at KNOTION. So Ikigai means life's worth. So they were able to find a model that could, in a way, shape the way in which they were thinking about their own life and the way they were going to find what they were going to be focusing on, not only personally, but also professionally and in their studies and along the whole journey of their lives. And how do we find our Ikigai, or how do we support kids to find their own Ikigai? So first of all, we need to make sure that they have a lot of inner awareness and inner knowledge, and that they know what they truly love, what motivates them, what's all those likes that are intrinsic to them, that excite them, that really move them forward, and that really make them happy. So, and this is very, very important, because it should start with this. How many people, hopefully no one that is here, but how many people do we know that they don't like their jobs and they don't like what they do in life? And if you ask them, I bet you've asked a lot of people, and you've asked them, you know, if you didn't need the money, and if you didn't need to work, what would you do? What would you be doing? And a lot of people would say something completely different to what they do. It's very few of us that are very lucky to do what we love and get paid for it, but which is really exciting. But this is true. So this would be the first thing. But the second thing, and this is where it links with everything that we were talking about, is what are your skills or the abilities that you possess? And this is where we have a major role as learning guardians, as school owners. Especially, this is what KNOTION School is trying to do right now, is trying to help students build a huge portfolio of skills and abilities from across the different content areas, so they can have better capabilities to face all the challenges that they will be having when they graduate and when they enter their profession or their life in general. So talking about skills, there are two concepts that are very important. One of them is called upskilling. The other one is called reskilling. And these two pretty much touch every single person. All of us who are here have been part of this process. In the upskilling, it's learning new things. Nowadays, when the world has changed so much, when a lot of the things that have come out have reshaped the way in which we live, in which we do commerce, the way in which we travel, the way in which we communicate, all of us have done upskilling, because one way or the other, we have learned new things that we didn't even think we were going to learn them. Let's think about, for example, in marketing, let's think about an ad agency director from 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They were winning awards, the Golden Globes. They were in Cannes presenting their ad campaigns. They were very successful. And all of a sudden, the game changed. It's like if for Messi, as we were saying, for Messi, all of a sudden, everything he knew about soccer, all of a sudden, all of the rules were changed of the game. Well, for the marketing industry, everything changed. So all of a sudden, they need social media came on, the new ways of doing e-commerce, new ways of communicating, the TikTok and all of the new ways to add. So all of these people have needed not only to learn new skills, but to reskill, because you need to forget. I don't know the term in English, desaprender, but to forget what you had learned and then learn something new, and reskill. Or if you knew something, just take your game up a notch and just reskill and have new capabilities and have new skills. Now, this is very hard for most of us as adults. This is very, very hard, because for some reason or other, we grew in a scenario where they told us, once you finish your master's or your PhD, you'll know everything. And you're going to be an expert, and you're going to be a master of the universe. And then everything, it's going to be very easy, and you're going to be super successful. And we have that mindset where it's very, very hard for us to change and to relearn and to, forget or stop with certain paradigms that we have and shift those paradigms. It's really hard. So if we are able to instill this lifelong learning competency within our students from where they're very young, and when we help them see that even though what I love and what I'm good at is very focused, let's say, on sustainability, and I want to do something on sustainability, and that's what I love, we need to let them understand that they need to have a very wide portfolio of skills that is going to help them be good with data analysis, with the math, be good with the storytelling, so that whatever they do in their projects have an impact on people. They need to be good with being a leaders and being entrepreneurs, and all of these different areas that normally when you go to college, you need to focus just on one set. So this is very, very important. And when we're talking about upskilling and reskilling, there is something that is very, very powerful. And this is the micro-credentials. And this is something that I love. And I think that we are right now, we are in the luckiest moment and best moment in history for learning. Because with micro-credentials, you can have easy access to amazing content and amazing quality from the best universities and the best institutions in the world that can adapt to the time frame that you have or the time needs that you have, and to a very, very accessible cost. And well, here with KNOTION School, they're all embedded, so even much, much better. And Coursera, as I mentioned, Coursera being one of our main partners, gives us, it's a doorway to almost every single university in the world, to amazing pieces of content from all of the majors and all of the areas of expertise, where you can get access to certificates that are very easy to obtain in a very small time frame, that are very affordable, but also that are very that can create a huge impact in your life, and also in your, obviously, in your portfolio of skills. But it's because they come from the experts, and all of this content comes from the best teachers in the world, and they are providing this content, and it's very engaging, and it's really, really neat. But not only the universities, but also the top industries in the world as well. So you have content from Google and from Amazon and from Facebook and Meta and MoMA. Depending on what area you want to focus on, you can find all of this array. So what we do and we work very closely with KNOTION is that we provide all of this content from these amazing partners, and we help them create all these pathways for the students, depending on what they want to do and their needs. Now, the benefits. What are the benefits of micro-credentials? First of all, they're very efficient. They're very efficient because you can focus on very specific skills. You don't need to study, a whole course, a whole degree, a complete degree. You can just focus on specific skills, and you can concentrate on whatever is very relevant for you, for your interests, for what you like, and for what you think that your career is going to be. So imagine for the students to be able to explore. That's another thing which is amazing. At a very young age, we were asked to choose what we wanted to do. How many kids do you know? And especially in these last generations, I know so many kids that in college, they skipped like 3 or 4 times from career to career to career. Like they go from one bachelor's to the other, one major to the other, and they can't decide what they want to do because they're very young. They don't even know what they truly like sometimes. They don't know if they're going to be good at what they decided they wanted to do. Sometimes they do it just because it's in vogue, or it's fashion, or because their friends are doing it. So this is something important. And when you are able to provide this array of opportunities for the students in high school, it also helps them understand if this is something they will really like once they get into college. So this gives them a very strong competitive advantage when they're going through high school. Now, the second benefit is relevance. Micro-credentials make learning very, very relevant because everything's changing so fast. They get actualized and updated so often that you can really, you don't need to study, let's say, the whole background of something, of an area, but you can definitely focus on, right now, for example, GPT technology, or AI, or you can focus on blockchain, or you can focus on TikTok and how to make better, create a better impact on TikTok, or on any other, any other platform, or whatever is happening in the world. It is very easy to be very relevant very fast. Right now, for example, I've seen a lot of companies, and they've asked us for content, working very, very hard on their ESG principles. And ESG just came out, and most of the companies need to focus on their ESGs. And there's a lot of people that don't even know what they stand for. So I think this is the reason why it becomes very, very, very relevant. I mean, it's very beneficial. Now, the third one is that they're stackable. And this is something that I just love. And I have a lot of fun. And many times I just ask the team, let me in because I really want to play. It's like playing with Legos. And this is what really amazing. Imagine, just close your eyes and go back to the moment when you were deciding to enter college, or when you were going to be in high school. If someone would have let you play with Lego type certificates and courses that you could have combined to create your own pathway of learning, where you could have taken from all the elements that you needed and all the elements that you wanted to study and get into, and then create a pathway for yourself. That would have been amazing. And micro-credentials do that. They allow you to create this, and they scaffold, actually, once they are combined, because of the machine learning that's behind the platform. It tells you how you're evolving in your different personal competencies, in leadership, in communication, in collaboration, in entrepreneurship, in all of the different competencies. And it starts telling you how you're evolving. But it doesn't matter if one is from Penn, the other one is from Yale University, the other one is from Harvard, and the other one is from Stanford, and the other one is from IBM, and the other one is from Google and Meta. But then they're all stacked, and then they create this beautiful pathway that you created for yourself. And obviously, you are able to integrate the content from all of these amazing institutions. And last but not least, and this is something that students love, is that they boost their resume. Obviously, they boost their own learning, but for them, the satisfaction of seeing their name, on a certificate that comes from that university, that when they go when they apply for college, or when they apply for a job, this really stands out. It really stands out. So I think that for everybody, not just for high school students, just having access to all this world of possibilities is amazing, because it really enhances and enriches your profile. And not only in paper, but with the knowledge and with the skills that you acquire, and obviously with the beautiful attitude that you're going to put into it, then the competency starts to flow. So these are some of the benefits. And this is just an example. This is my own son. I didn't ask him permission to present these, but I'm sure he won't be too mad. But he just recently, these are some of the courses that he took. And it is amazing just to see, how being so young, he knows about neuroscience, right? And data analysis and machine learning, and see how it's completely different worlds. Like before, if I would have studied neuroscience back then, because I just love it. I'm passionate about it. But just seeing him, that he was able to combine neuroscience with numbers, with leadership, and with entrepreneurship, and with all of these different, and sustainability, and all of these different areas, I think it is just amazing. And all of these certificates, all of these, the icons from the universities and the logos, they go directly into their LinkedIn page, which is also something they love, because you see their LinkedIn page, and it's like their profile, it's very, very rich and colorful with all of these elements. So when you combine what you love and what you're good at, here's where your passion comes. And I'm just gonna share, this is more for the high school students, but I think we all love to hear nice stories. You know, Lewis Hamilton, he's right now one of the top racing champions, and he was just hired, or he's now running for Ferrari. And he wasn't good in school. He didn't succeed. He always left, he felt that he was left behind. And these are just some of his words.
I fit in when I was at school. I tried to fit in. I tried to play all the sports. I was always the last one picked in the football team, and I was definitely not the worst. When I discovered go-karting and racing, I found this love. When I put that helmet on, I could be whoever I wanted to be. I felt like it's my cape. I felt like I could be Superman. And when I was in that cart, I was able to do things that the others around me weren't able to do.
So he was very lucky because he was able to find what he loved and what he was good at with some of his skills when he was very young. And that's where he found his passion. But I think as learning guardians, one of our responsibilities with our kids, especially in high school, obviously we need to start when they're very young, but if they're in high school, is really help them find their passion and find where that's going to take them. And to make them think of this journey and how they can create this balance with all these elements in order to find their life's worth, their ikigai. So once you have your passion, something very important happens. And I chose showing this one first because I think that no longer we can shape either high school or college graduates that are only focused on productivity, that are only focused on making money. First of all, you need to start with being better human beings, understanding what the world needs, understanding how their actions and what they do can contribute to the needs of the world and how they can make it a better world and the impact they need to make. And this is important because when they select and stack and integrate these pathways, if they're going to be architects, which is amazing, they need to know about sustainability. They need to know about their footprint and how they're going to be building and how they're going to deal with water and how they're going to deal with how they're going to create a space that is harmonious and that provides this coherence for everybody that is interacting within that space. So this is very important. And obviously, when we combine these, what the world needs with what we love, that's when we find our mission. And for the kids at that age to know what their mission is, I think it's huge. Now, sometimes we spend our whole lives just trying to understand, what am I doing in this world? What's my purpose? What's my goal? What do I need to do? And then, obviously, there comes this question of, how can I make money out of it? No, how am I gonna? Yes, how am I gonna how am I gonna pursue the rewards? How am I gonna get the better job? How am I gonna get all this compensation? And this is also extremely, extremely important. But we are certain, and we have seen that. We have actually seen it with high school graduates that have used this model, or that or college graduates that have been able to combine and just also create this skill set portfolio added to everything that they're learning. Because I'm not saying that they're going to stop going to college. A lot of them are. And this is the way they're going to be building their own learning journeys. And they might stop going to college, especially because a lot of the students cannot afford going to college. And this is a much more accessible way of getting great learning. But if you go to college, still, it is very important to have all this portfolio that is going to help you stand out, and it's going to help you, have these very transdisciplinary and very 360 wide view of the world and of the industry that you're going to be working at, or you're going to be at. So here I just wanted also to a very, very short clip of Indra Nooyi. She was the former CEO of PepsiCo, just to confirm or reaffirm that something that we've been hearing from a lot of late Steve Jobs and a lot of people, they started saying companies are no longer interested in the diploma. They're no longer interested in your credentials, you know, from the universities. They want to know what you're good at, your skill set. And a lot of people think that's very, you know, wishy-washy hippie thinking from Silicon Valley and all of the tech startups and all of that. But Indra, you know, makes a remark that I think is just confirming that that is starting to be the case more and more and more.
So when somebody comes into a job and you say, hey, I'm going to be valuable because I have an MBA from this school, or I have an undergraduate degree from some prestigious school, that only works for the first 3 or 4 months. Pretty soon, everybody in the company is saying, what is this person good at? What is the core competence of this person? What is the value add of this person as opposed to the degree they had, which was yesterday's news?
Exactly. So this is what is very important, because degrees only help us to a certain extent. But everything that we learn that provides us with the development of these competencies, and you see how she didn't mention skills. She was talking about the competency. You know, what's your competency? What are you good at? Because it intertwines those three elements, remember? That's when you start excelling and making a difference in the company you work at. And that's where you start to grow. And the sooner we make our students understand these, it's the fastest way in which they're going to be able to really explore, you know, what their passion is, their mission is, their vocation, but also they're going to be able to enjoy their profession. And it's going to be something they're going to not only excel at, but it's something they're going to love, they're going to enjoy, and they're going to be doing a lot of good to the world. So just to leave with a very nice note, and this, I'm a Disney fan. I worked at Disney for a while, and I've always loved some of the other concepts. Others I know they're very controversial, especially in these days. But I think Bob Iger, he mentions here something that's really nice, and a dream that he has for the next generations. And I think that I share this dream with him because I think that all of our high school students right now are in an era where the sky's the limit, and where they can go to infinity and beyond. So
my greatest hope for the next generation of business leaders is that they bring to the job great integrity, and they achieve things that ultimately create a better world, creating more opportunity for people and a future that looks brighter than the present. To infinity and beyond!
So with that, I just want to close by mentioning again that we're very privileged to be working with KNOTION, that we design these personalized career pathways to guide all of the students from high school, but also all the way, you know, to the productive force, to these self-improvement and lifelong learning, constant learning. And most of all, to a fulfilling life where they feel that they found their ikigai, they found their worth, they found their purpose, and that they're really happy with themselves, with what they're doing, but above all, that they are really creating an impact for humanity. So with that said, thank you very much. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that we can have some dialogue, some conversation. I'm eager to hear you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Noemí. This was a wonderful, wonderful topic. I think that this is precisely what we've been discussing in the last sessions, to see how to help the students to achieve their full potential in a way that they have fun, that they find their passion, that they also get like this minimum curriculum that obviously the accreditation systems ask us to give them. So it was a wonderful way of having this little wrap up of what I've been learning in these master classes. Thank you very much. And let's open the dialogue then. I don't know if someone from the public have a question before we start questioning us to you. I don't know if someone wants to share something prior to this, maybe a question, a comment. Clara, I know you're always super participative, so I'm looking at you in the camera.
I was about to raise my hand. I'm sorry. Hello, Noemi. Thank you very much for taking the time, to share your knowledge with us. I wish I had these opportunities when I was young. I think that I'm not too old, not yet. But I think it's a great thing that people or teachers are thinking into this, like nowadays, right? I think it's sometimes when I'm in the school system, right? I work for SEP, so I work in a secondary, and sometimes it's a little difficult for teachers to understand how to handle these and how you can use these resources to help your students, right? So I think it's great that you're sharing this with us. Also that we have the opportunity to be in a school that is not even here. This internet thing is connecting us all around, and I think it's great that we can have that you share this information, that we can take some from that and apply it later, no, in with our students, with our teachers, co-workers, and stuff. Thank you very much, Noemi. Thank you, Ale, for giving me the time for that.
I know. Thank you, Clara. Thank you very much. And we have tested. Actually, we started using micro credentials for third grade and secundaria in Mexico with SEP, and it's worked amazingly because, for example, sometimes there are courses or where you cannot find the best teacher for calculus, for example, or algebra, or concepts that are hard for the kids to understand at a certain point. And John Hopkins University, for example, offers amazing courses on calculus and trigonometry, and we have been able to embed those for secundaria. So I think that as long as we're creative as teachers and we find a way to embed them, it is always possible, because they really, the time that it's 2 to 3 hours a week, most of the courses that the kids need to devote to, or us as adults, 2 to 3 hours a week. And most of the courses are 4 to 6 weeks, but they're so rich in content. And also something that I forgot to mention about one of the benefits when we were talking about the relevance and how you focus with micro-credentials. You know how the curriculum usually, in most of the world, not only in Mexico or in the US, in most of the world, when you look at the curriculum, there are so many topics that they needed to be put in to cover the amount of time that the kids are in school. But really, when you take out that, what we call baja, in the education jargon, but when you're able to take all that out, really, the amount of time that you need to focus on very, very meaningful and relevant content, it's small. And that's what is covered through the micro credentials, which is really, really nice. And through these courses and these certificates. So, for example, we have schools that are using it in different ways, and they have the kids doing them at home. but they are having they are getting all these added value and this competitive advantage regardless. Some others use it in class, which is also amazing, and it's monitored by the teacher. So it really depends, and I'm very, very certain that Kinich School is using them amazingly, and they're doing a very, very diligent work on identifying which certificates can be taken by the students alone and which ones need a guide from the teacher. But this provides this array of possibilities for the students. So they come out, as Lewis Hamilton said, with their cape on and feeling superheroes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any other question from the public? Eric?
Thank you, Ale. And just something that you were mentioning, Noemí, and it's something that I am trying, and I have been explaining to a lot of different people. Like, a lot of corporations are not concerned about the credentials of the students, the formal credentials of the students anymore. Like, if you have a high school diploma or if you have a university diploma, it's what you know, what you can do with the knowledge that you have. But however, right now, globally, the governments are the ones providing the credentials for the different students and certifying the learnings of the students, even if they have it or not. In that way, how do you think that the role of the government is going to evolve with these changes, where the job market is looking for something and the government suddenly is presenting something that is not adequate to and is not presenting the credentials that the market is looking for?
I think more and more this is shifting. Obviously, there are countries that are more advanced where there's a lot of policy making right now and public policy being shaped in order to be able to accept all of these skill sets and all of these abilities that the students have and the competencies that they have developed along the way. And I think the great thing is that most of the private companies, which is a huge percentage of industries, companies within the industries in the world, they don't abide that much on what the government says. And they are using skill assessment for entry levels, for when hiring people. They're no longer, part of showing your credentials, that will always be part of, when you submit your paperwork, when you have the interview. But more and more we've heard companies say, and talent hunters, people from HR teams and people from companies saying, we look at all of the students and we look at what they have to offer. We look at their profile. More and more, we look at their skill sets and the abilities with proven, and that is very, very important, with proven assessment that they have really acquired those skills. And that is something that the Coursera platform provides. And it's something that we love because it truly tracks how you are developing the different skills and how you are evolving in the different competencies. And that is something that you can really show when the student graduates. They can take that report and it's like their own personal journey and personal portfolio. And something that we're working on right now, and it's a surprise, but you will have it obviously with Kinich, is a comprehensive learning record that includes everything, your CLR, that it's not only your academic achievement, but also your personal involvement, for example, with social clubs or with sports or with other activities, because all of those elements, they really define who you are as a whole, in a very integral way as a person. But more and more companies are asking for a CLR, and more they're trying to look into that. Now, going back to government policy, I think there are certain areas and certain regions, unfortunately, I think Latin America and US also, it's sometimes slow in moving forward in a lot of these topics. But if you're going to be working in governmental institutions, I think it's going to take longer, and it's for the kids, but they would definitely need to get their college degree and their master's and all of the other and PhD or whatever. But it's shifting, I think, and the shift is happening really fast. So and again, as I mentioned before, I'm not saying that going to college is wrong. No. And I'm not saying that having a master's degree or a PhD, if that is what your area requires or your profession requires or what you love doing and what you're passionate about requires, it's great. And it works for some. What I'm saying is that it doesn't work for everyone. And it's not accessible for everyone. And the only way in which we can, and I think that's also one of our responsibilities. All of us who are here, we have that responsibility. We need to close the gap of accessibility for education, for quality education that exists in the world. And the only way to close that gap is to take advantage of these micro-credentials, because anyone, from anywhere, you learn asynchronous, you learn from any device, you can learn from your phone, you can learn from any computer that you can find out there. And it doesn't matter if you're out in the fields or if you are, wherever you are, and it's very, the cost is very affordable. So I think that is a huge responsibility the government has as well, to create this reach for all the students.
Awesome, thank you. Is there any other question? Chris, I saw you turn on your camera. You have a question?
No, but I can add something. I was
Okay.
thinking about the importance of adaptability. Like, it's crucial not only for our students, but also for teachers and society as a whole. When we together seek for knowledge and work together, I believe it's that when we can build trust and the sense of belonging, and truly the changes will happen. And that was the only thing I want to add.
No, you're absolutely right, Kristen, and thank you for that, because it's very important. One of the benefits, another benefit of micro-credentials in general, is that they're very flexible and they're adaptable. So really, also, you can differentiate, and this is amazing, because you want to provide with different content for the different needs of your students and the learning that they need. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Mimi. Marta, you have a question?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Thanks, Mimi, for your nice presentation. Very kind from you. I would like to ask you something, perhaps not in the same theme, but taking count of your experience. What should you do when the students are not taking this career as the first option? It's not in the mood because they were not elected for the first option, but they were elected for any other, and they are not very emotional with this another career. That is my question. Thanks.
Thank you, Martha. I think this is one of the best scenarios for micro-credentials, because precisely when and we talked about your Ikigai, right? What moved you, what you really loved, what you were passionate about. But we end up, and you're right, it's not just you end up doing something you don't like, you end up studying something you're not very excited about, or doing or learning that. If starting with high school, we are able to provide this competitive advantage for the students, and they have their micro-credentials, it's more likely that they're going to be accepted in their first choice. But let's say that even though they weren't accepted, the great possibility that this provides them with is that they can upskill. That even though they're learning from a content area which they don't feel very or they're not engaged with, or they don't feel very motivated, they can start creating their own learning pathway on what they really love and what they really want. And maybe, and we've seen these happen also, is they're going to start finding connections. Because well, nowadays, most of the learning areas or content areas are intertwined, and most of the professions have to do one with the other. Right now, I've seen some of our alumni, like they're working, for example, they're financial guys working in, and I'm like, what are you doing there? If you were working with at JP Morgan and all of a sudden you're working, you know, in a cinema production house or production company, they're like, well, I handle their finances, but that's my passion. You know, movies is my passion. I took some extra courses on production, so I spoke the language when I was interviewed, and they told them that I understood what it took, but they needed someone to take care of their financing. So even though he was not passionate about financing, he was able to create this bridge or build this bridge from that area to the one that he truly loved. And I think that when we're able to guide the students with the usage or the stacking of these micro-credentials or certificates, and telling them, you know, how they can really start with what you really love, and then from there find another one that starts linking both, and then all of a sudden they're going to be engaged in whatever they're going to be doing. And if not, when they finish and they make everybody happy, no, because usually certificates have to do more with the adults around the kids than really for them. But when everybody's happy with the graduation and with the paper, then they can say, okay, I've done my work, I've made you proud, and now I'm going to take off and I'm going to do what I really love. But they are prepared. He or she is prepared to really face.
Thanks a lot. Okay. All the best. I love you. Bye.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you, Mimi. It seems like the degree sometimes is something to have on the living room, no? Like for the parents, and then you can fly on the real path you want it to be in the first place. I want to, if there is another question in the people who still with us, another comment question? No, okay. You said something very important at the beginning of this session, Mimi, and this is something my students mention a lot when they graduate finally from their degree, and is that they don't feel that they are well prepared for what's going on out there, and they always feel and have this sense of they feel insecure, they feel like they lack the abilities and what they really need out there. But the reality is that most of the hard skills on the workplace, you will learn them there. And on schools, we should be focusing, as we are in Kinich, but we should be focusing in a broader sense in changing the way we evaluate, because standardized tests are so old-fashioned. We should start, I mean, if we know that out there what people's looking for is people that can solve problems, that can lead effective teams, that can communicate with people, why are we still focusing on trying to teach the hard skills in the classroom when those skills will be available out there? And we should be focusing on actually preparing them as human beings, no? This is something that's super interesting, and it completely had a click on what you said, that they were underskilled and under hired and also underpaid and all of the
unders,
all of the unders, yes.
But it's because it's a bias that education industry has had for centuries. It's not something that is happening just right now. For years and years and years, education focused only on the knowledge. And remember, the development of a competency takes the other two. And until very recently, everybody started talking about skills, and they were like, oh, skills. Now I'm including the skills and the hard skills and the soft skills, and we're embedding skills. And just recently, we started hearing about attitudes and how to shape better human beings and the inner work and the mindfulness and all of these elements because it is very, very important. But the worst part of it all, and you really hit spot on, is that we are trying, and all of the OECD, the education framework for 2030 and the compass, it really starts with intertwining these three elements and the development of competencies in order to create these evolution and transformation of learning within the school systems. And we're still assessing knowledge, only knowledge. We're still assessing old school, all of the standardized testing. And I have a lot of friends at ETS. I like them very much, my friends, but I've told them, face to face, and I've said, you have damaged the education industry so much with your SATs and your GREs and with the college board and with all of these assessments that are only focusing on one aspect, maybe a little bit of the second, but mostly on the first one. And that's completely opposite to the way we are trying to create the new learning pathways and the new learning for this new generation of human beings that are, as I mentioned, competent and conscious. No, I think it's a combination of both, but they definitely need to be competent.
And it's very hard to understand how everything's smart now. Smart cities, smart television, smartphone, smart everything, and we still behind on smart classrooms, on smart education, on smart everything in the practice of learning and teaching nowadays. Okay, so I don't know, Eric, if you have something to add, or if there is another comment or question in the public.
Thank you, Noemí. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
We are very inspired with all the different things that you shared today. And for sure, we're going to be in contact, and we hope to invite you again to this masterclass. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And my privilege, very honored to be here with all of you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mimi. And just a bit of a commercial before we close the session. The next masterclass will be on April 25 with Margaret Wang, who is a COO and co-founder of Subject to Climate. It's going to be a very interesting session about education and sustainability, just going on the path of what I've been seeing in these master classes. I hope to see everyone again in that session, and I hope you share. You will receive, after this session ends, a brief questionnaire for feedback. So I hope everyone is able to answer it and send it back to us when you have the time. Thank you very much. And this is how we close. Mimi, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.